the 28th of Cheshvan, November 19th, and we are doing the second essay in Kuntras Achrein, the final tract of Tanya. And today's essay is going to be a bit Kabbalistic. It kind of is a good continuation of yesterday. Yesterday we were talking about why physical mitzvahs are needed and why physical mitzvahs need kavana, they need intention as well. And what happens if you have the physical mitzvah but you don't have intention in the Kabbalistic realm. But anyways, today we're going to talk about why physical mitzvahs and more focus on the why they have to be physical in order to have a certain effect above. So, essay 2. In this, we're going to talk about a concept called face-to-face union versus a back-to-back union. And for some reason, it's going to say it's a very interesting. There's different unions within holiness between us and Hashem, within levels of godliness with each other. Okay, to examine the statement in Eitz Chaim Shar Nekudot Shar 8, chapter 6, that says there can be no turning of face to face except through mitzvot requiring action. In the notes here, it summarizes what was the context there. That the system of creation is basically the 10 sfirot. We talked about it a bunch of times. The 10 sfirot could really be broken down to Zah and Malchut. Zah representing the 6 emotions that are flowing into Malchut, the recipient, the Shekhinah. And it said there that until Adam was created, there was no possibility of mitzvot. So therefore, there has to be a union between these levels. But if there would have been a union between these levels and there's no mitzvah being done, what could happen is there could be a big flow going into a recipient, which is the first concept of otherness, of reality. And it could go to klipa, because otherness has, a mixture of good and bad in it. So therefore, before Adam was created, Hashem united. It has to be the unity of the system. But the unity of the system can be done in a back-to-back way. Back-to-back means that it's not giving full force. Until when Adam was created and he could do mitzvahs, physical mitzvahs, which in other words, what's he doing? Trimming and hacking off the thorns of klipa. When I said it's like surgery, every mitzvah is like surgery between the good and the bad. So he was doing that surgery, taking away the bad, the infected part, saving the good. So then, now the system of creation can be done in a face-to-face way. Wait a minute.
Klipa, I thought was hard. It's not evil, it's not bad.
There's 2 types of klipa. Klipa is noga, pariv, and there's bad klipa. But klipa generally is negative. It's a concealment.
Right.
The question is it black or is it, just a barrier? Okay. The point he's saying here is, so this is introducing you to a Kabbalistic term of a face-to-face union in the Sfirot versus a back-to-back. And for some reason, so he's saying, and sum it up, when you do a physical mitzvah, like Adam did a physical mitzvah, you're basically cutting away the negative. So all that's left is the good within this world, within your action. And now Hashem can flow into that action in a very open way. We call face-to-face. If I look at you face-to-face, I'm having a very direct relationship. If it's back-to-back, it's indirect. So we don't understand why physical mitzvahs particularly enable this face-to-face. The reason for this, as given in Eitz Chaim in the Zohar in Kabbalah, is that by means of good deeds, one brings about a supernal union. We said right in the higher realms of Zah and Malchut, in the Midot, the Spheres of Hashem, and the recipient. But why only mitzvah involving action? What about mitzvahs that using your mind, thinking Torah without action? This may be understood in the light of what is written in Eitz Chaim in the gate of Man Umad. That first, before this union, supernal union takes place, right? When you want to have this kind of perfect lights and vessels in the upper realms, you need to first have something. We call an elevation of Mayin Nukvin, feminine waters. From the Nukva of Zah, meaning from the feminine element, in other words, Malchut. Feminine waters is just a term for the lower realms, the recipient realms, reaching out, right? Because feminine is receiver, so that represents the not the lower, but the lower realms, the realm that is made other to be a recipient of the lights. So if there's an attempt of the lower realms, aka the feminine waters, to reach out, to make themselves, the lower realm is making itself ready to receive, to have a relationship with the masculine waters, meaning from the flowing lights from above. That enables the lights, the flow, to come in a very face-to-face way. And the Mayin Nukvin of Nukva is the state of action, as explained there in chapter 1. Okay. Now, the problem is, of course, when a lower realm wants a relation with God, the lower realm has klipa in it. So maybe you're going to get flow into the whole system, including the virus that's down here. So good deeds are described as trimming and hacking off the thistles that attach themselves to the hinder part, which is the state of deed, as written in Eitz Chaim, Shar 47, chapter 5. This pruning, in other words, it talks there about a vineyard. A vineyard is about growing vines and grapes. Reality is there's weeds and thorns that grow there. And as a matter of fact, the weeds and thorns, if they're left unchecked, they will overtake the garden, the vineyard, and they will suck out all the nutrients to make big, gigantic weeds and thorns. Right? It's all about growing the fruit, but because in the earth there's also weeds and thorns, they will get nurture as well. So what do you have to do? You have to prune it. You have to chop away the negative, the klipa. The klipa being the metaphor of the thorns is the klipa. And how you do the pruning? By elevating the element of good that's concealed in them, and that is enclosed in mitzvot of action. Elevating this element of good to its source, to the sanctity of Atzilut that has already been refined. So therefore, meaning this, we can understand why are physical mitzvahs the best way of bringing light of Hashem in the most direct way into our reality. Because what are you essentially doing? You're highlighting the holiness within you or within the physical object. And you're saying this thing is only here to serve Hashem. And regards to the negative, by me doing the good, I'm at least temporarily suspending the negative possibility of this person or action. So it's all good. That's called an elevation of the feminine waters. It's like you have an intention to do something good, and you try to do something good. You're bringing the good, you're accentuating the good, and you're suppressing the bad at the time of the mitzvah.
Right.
And then he says, parenthetically, as to the statement there that Adam effected rectifications, tikkun. Right, we say tikkun olam. This is tikkun olam. Tikkun olam is the hacking away of the thorns in the garden of this world. And how do you do that? By doing physical mitzvahs. Now it says there, Adam also affected tikkun of this world through prayer. Wait a second, prayer is not a physical mitzvah, seemingly. What's the answer? That's not true. It is a physical mitzvah. This means he did so through uttering the letters of speech. Not through the intent of prayer, but the actual deed of prayer, saying the words with the intention. For the movement of one's lips is also deemed a deed, as we said many times in the Gemara. For these utterances of prayer, they derive from the physical soul, the human soul, which is in the biological soul, which is in the body and blood, whose root is in Klipat Noga. The acts of refinement of Asiya that are accomplished through practical mitzvah sent to Yitzirah by means of the divine name Ban, and from Yitzirah to Bria, as noted in Sharman, verse 11, section 7. Thus, we can understand why mere thought accomplishes nothing. Thus, we can understand why mere thought accomplishes nothing, for unless Mayan Nukvin is elevated from the kings of Noga, Klipas Noga, right, which is a mixture of good and bad, it is impossible to draw forth drops from above to affect the union of Zun, an acronym from the terms of Zah and Nukva. The union of the Midot, the Zah, and the receiver Malchut can happen unless there's a elevation from below. The drops of blessing basically come from above the system to unite the two opposites, the infinite lights and the vessels, which are really shouldn't be able to unite, but because naturally, Zah desires to seek its nurture from its mother in the sphere of Bina, rather than giving forth the lower realms, as written in Eitz Chaim Sharman Drush 2. Examine. Anyways, this is a point about. There's a little insight. I'm no Kabbalist, but you pick up some bits and pieces from talking about it. The basic system of creation is the Sfirot. What are the Sfirot? There's 10 Sfirot. The first 3 are intellectual, Chachma Bina Dat, right? The next 6 are emotional, and the last one is the receiver, Malchut. So usually we talk about creation. We don't talk about the first 3. That's already in God's planning board. It's a different. It's not about the action of creation. It's more in the idea of creation. So in the process of creation, you're really talking about the 7 things. You're talking about in the 7 days of the week, right? You have 6 days mirroring the 6 midot, and the 7th is Shabbos, is the receiver, where it receives from the 6 days of work. And that's the process of creation. Number 7. Okay, that's why, because it mirrors the 6 and the 1, the 6 and the receiver. Now, if you think about the 6 are the flow, they're generating the the creative process is eventually to give forth and then be received by the customer or whatever, by the receiver. Now, in the creative process, the 6 midot are internal. They're not yet doing anything until there's a receiver, right? You can have a whole business, you can be a whole artist, but until you you want to create a product, until there's someone to receive it, it's just, a process. Now, or let's say until you actually physically create it, like it's inside of you. Then you create it, it's outside to the world. Get it shipped. So he says that interesting point, that the six midot, while the creativity, they want to create, they want to make something, they want to give something, but actually, the natural state of the six midot is really to kind of stay in a internal state and just be connected to the idea. You see a lot of times if it's creativity, people that have a lot of ideas, and it's hard for them to actually go do something about it. Why? So apparently there's this, it stems from the way it works in the cosmos, that the creative process likes being in this in this state where it's getting ideas and it's churning on the ideas, and then it doesn't necessarily want to then go bring it out to another reality outside of itself. Maybe that's why creativity is hard to actually execute, because there's a certain enjoyment or a certain natural state of you have an idea, you think about it, you get more of the idea, you think about it. It's very good just to stay in that kind of loop. To go now make it in a semi-perfect way that somebody else who's a different person can appreciate, it's always going to be less, it's going to be less pure than it is in your mind and your creative process. So it's interesting. You think creativity, you want to go get it done. Actually, there's a certain tendency to stay in the loop of idea to creativity and emotion and keeping going on. So it says, in order to break forth from that loop and to get it to go out, you need to have access to a subconscious level that is actually beyond the idea. It's not about the idea, it's not about the emotion. It's subconscious or something way higher, which maybe would be will. I think will would be an example. Maybe will is that, will or desire. Will or desire is not, it's really more transcendent to the system. So I guess when a person, they have this primal will to make a mark on the world, right? Now, how do you make your mark on the world? You don't just make a mark, start taking markers all over. You have to use your ideas and your emotions and your execution. That's the way it goes. You make your mark. Where does that desire to have a primal will? It's very, very deep. It's really, it's so deep. It's not even logical. It's wired into this subconscious level. Okay? But it's hidden. It's very subconscious. When you can tap into that will or desire and then stop the loop of idea, creativity, and not getting out, it'll basically say, enough. I want to make a mark. And it'll force the idea to go, at some level, be executed. So, very fascinating. I think that's what it is about, what it's saying here. And that, we talk about Hashem's plan for a beautiful garden in this world of holiness to happen. What does it happen when it's almost like when the person wants to do a physical mitzvah or does a physical mitzvah, they're tapping into a very deep-rooted desire that really transcends the system and really breathes new life into the whole system of creation, because it was all about making a mark on the world through the mitzvah. This is written in Eitz Chaim, Sharman Drush 2. Examine Zohar, Parsha Pekudei, page 244b, which states there's a mode of gazing. This refers to the intentions in worship and the supernal unions for those who know and understand how to gaze. For the Nefesh, Ruach, and Neshama themselves constitute the arousal initiated by the recipient, which is known as Mayin Nukvin, through their self-sacrifice devotion for the Torah. And during the Tachanun prayer, which we say also, this is basically a select few people that are able to kind of use their high prayer to elicit this, to make the same thing we do, but most of us do with physical mitzvahs. Some people have high prayer; they can draw similar flow into the world.